Take a seat. Take a seat. Take a load off your feet. This is awesome. All right. Let's continue. Yeah, this is great. My biggest worry was everybody's going to stand up and go, "How you doing? How you doing?" and sit back down. In this group, yeah, in this group, you say, tell somebody hello, and it's 30 minutes later, they're going, "Oh, and then I was telling them." So that's awesome. I love it. Now, if you were in a business formal setting, it wouldn't be quite that agrarious, I guess, but that's okay. That's great. How did that feel? Good, good. If you introduce yourself, you get to know people, and we all are people. Am I right? Yes. Okay. All right, but now we're going to do it a little bit differently. Now, we're only going to do it for a minute, so you have to do this fairly quickly, okay? And then sit back down. But this time, I want you to stand up, and you already really did this more than you should, just because of the way you are. But this time, I want you to stand up, and I want you to introduce yourself to those same people, but I want you to act like this is your long-lost friend. They've been gone to war, or they've been living across the country, and this is the first time you've seen them in years. You have missed them. You are so excited to see them. Ready?
We're introducing ourselves?
How do we turn it up?
Reintroducing yourself. Ready? Go! Awesome. Very good. Excellent. Very good. Only slightly more energetic than the first time, but very good. Okay, now, how did that feel?
Great.
Better than good. Better than the first one. All right, let me ask you a question. If every morning you woke up, you put on your little bunny slippers, you stumbled to the bathroom, turned on the light, looked in the mirror, and you stared at yourself, and you greeted yourself the way you just greeted each other just now, how would your day start?
My wife would get
Woohoo! That's right. That's how we should love ourselves. That's the kind of self-image we should have, and that's what we're here to talk about now, is building the best you. We want to be the best that we can be. Every one of us has all the potential in the world. We just need to figure ways to bring that out. So when you wake up in the morning, as Kanya says, say to yourself, what is it?
Good morning, you good-looking thing.
Thank you very much. Awesome. All right, we're going to talk today about building the best you. I want to see by a show of hands, and you may have heard this before, but I want to see how many of you think that in the next 2 weeks there is something you could do that would absolutely, positively make your life worse. By a show of hands. That's right, exactly. Well, and we know that if that's true, and there's things that you could do to make your life worse, then how many of you believe in the next 2 weeks there are things you could do that would absolutely, positively improve your life and the life of your family and your job? Show of hands? Exactly. So what did you say? You just told yourselves and me that there are things you can do to make your life better, and who's in control? Me. You are. Each one of us is in control of ourselves and in control of our own lives. Am I right? Yes. You have the power to make the changes to make your life better. All right. Joe Saba says, you don't have to be great to start, but that's right. All of us have that potential. All of us can make our life better, but we need to do it. We need to be the one to take the first step and the first action and figure out how we can go on to the life that we dream of, not only for ourselves, but for our family and the people that we work with and the people that we influence every day. We're going to go over some different stuff today. There's a bunch of powerful tools that we have been given and we have the privilege of using. So we're going to just refresh our minds and talk about them and see what we can do to make ourselves better. All of us know about a guy named John Jones, right? I love this story. Anytime I teach this, 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, all day, whatever, I always talk about John Jones because it's such a great story. What happened? John Jones went to the airport, like most of us did trying to get here. He shows up at the airport. He's got the 2:20 flight, and he goes, you know what? I got a little time to kill, so 220 to Boston. I think I'll just walk around a little bit. He walks around, he sees one of those, and I know you're too young to probably even remember these, but they have these nice little fortune-telling weight machines, and you step on it, and you put your quarter in. That's what John Jones did, and out comes his fortune. It says, your name is John Jones. You weigh 188 pounds, and you're on the 220 to Boston. Man, he's amazed. Can't believe it. Because I just don't even understand that. He thinks about it a minute. He goes, must be a trick. They must just print out the same thing to everybody. I'm going to try it again. So he steps back up there, puts his quarter in again, out pops the little slip. Your name is John Jones. Still, your name is John Jones. You still weigh 188 pounds, and you're still scheduled for the 220 to Boston. So he thinks about it a little while. He walks away. He's kind of frustrated. He thinks, well, maybe somebody's playing a trick, and he's looking around trying to see if there's anybody else around. Doesn't see anybody. He goes, well, I still have my carry-on bag. There's got to be a trick. I'm going to go in and change. So he goes into the men's room. He changes. He puts on a different coat. He takes his hat out of his bag, puts it on. He walks back out. He steps up on the scale. Nobody will recognize him now. And he puts his money in. He goes, your name is still John Jones. You still weigh 188 pounds, but you just missed the 220 to Boston. What happened? He got distracted, right? How many of us get distracted? How many of us at 17 or 18 years old have all these huge dreams, and life has a way of telling us, well, you can't do that one, and well, you should focus on this one, and we just get distracted. We get busy, we get families, we get lives, we get jobs, and it takes us away from the things that we really need to be focusing on in life. That's what happened to John Jones, and we don't want to get distracted. If you get distracted, you miss out on all the good things that life has to offer you, and life has plenty. We don't want to be those people. Now, you guys have all heard of Zig Ziglar, am I right? Yes. Awesome. Very good. Well, speaking of that, I'm going to just tell you guys a story. We love to share these stories, all of us. I was in Office Depot last night, and I was making some copies, standing there in the same shirt and jacket I'd worn last night. And there's a guy standing in front of me, and he turns around. He's waiting to get some copies made, and he looks at me and makes me feel kind of uncomfortable, and then he goes, that shirt is really starched well and ironed well. I went, well, it was this morning, but I've been wearing it all day. He goes, do you have like a service that does that? And I went, no, usually I do, but I ironed it myself this morning because I'm traveling. Oh, really? What do you do? And I said, well, I sell x-ray equipment and supplies. He goes, oh, well, I'm an ultrasound guy. He said, are you selling to the hospitals around here? And I went, no, I'm from Louisiana. I'm over here for a Zig Ziglar conference. And he goes, Zig Ziglar? Man, I used to hear him all the time, but I hadn't heard much about him lately. What's going on? I said, well, they're actually certified. I said, he passed away, and yeah. I said, they're certifying people now to go out and teach the information that Zig, to carry on his legacy. And he went, oh, that's awesome. He said, everybody needs it now, and we just don't have many people that are doing that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, I work with this school in Florida, and they produce these graduates for ultrasound techs, and the other company hires these kids with the assumption that they'll pass their test and be able to practice. He said, they've got the school, they've got the grades, they've graduated, and they can't pass the test. He said, because they just don't have the work ethic. He goes, man, we need something like this right now. That's the point. We need something like this right now. Every one of us does. I wake up in the morning every day going, I need some water. Grab the water off the head of my bed. I also wake up every day going, I need to be motivated and refreshed and figure out how to be better today than I was yesterday. That's why we're here. By the way, I also got his supervisor's name and phone number. He volunteered it. As a matter of fact, I've got a big piece of cardboard. He didn't have a business card, so he wrote it on this huge, thick piece of cardboard. But that's what we're here for. We all need to be refreshed. We don't need to get distracted. Every day we need to refocus and figure out where we're going. All right. Stairway to success. How many of you think you've seen this before? First. Everybody seen it? Absolutely. Over years and years, they surveyed thousands of people, and they said, what is it that would make you consider yourself successful? What items, what characteristics, what traits is it? And every time there were a lot that came back, but the same ones consistently came back over and over and over. Let's read them together. Everybody in the world wants to be happy. Agree? And have hope. That's right. Hope for a better tomorrow, right? Okay. If you had those things, if you had happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. If you were healthy, reasonably healthy, prosperous, as Zig would say, some of us want to be very prosperous. You had security in your family, your relationships, your home. If you have friends that care about you and about whom you care as well. Peace of mind. You go to sleep at night and you don't worry about anything. If you had family that loves you and that you love and that you get to see from time to time and spend time with, and you have hope for tomorrow, would you consider yourself successful? Absolutely. I think everybody would. We all want those things. But there's a problem. That's the goal. But if you look right there, what does it say? It's out of order. What does that mean? We can't ride the elevator to the top. There's not an easy way. We can't just go, I want to be Bill Gates. That happens about 1 every 300 million people, roughly. So most of us aren't going to attain that. Most of us are going to have to walk those stairs, and we're going to have to work to get up there. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So what about the stairs? Let's take a look at them and see. Remember, the stairs are built, first off, on a foundation. All of us need a firm foundation, just like a tall building. If we don't have one, we see what happens in the tragedy in Nepal that we saw recently. Lots of small wooden buildings built on others. Without that firm foundation, they topple when storms come. The same thing, our foundation is built on faith, love, loyalty, character, honesty, and integrity. If we have these things, we have the foundation to withstand the troubles we're going to face from time to time. It gives us the foundation and the base and the strength in order to be able to walk up the stairs. The stairs that we're going to talk about in this workshop are self-image, your relationship with others, the goals that you set for yourself and attain, your attitude toward those goals and toward the people that you're working with. Work, because nothing gets accomplished without work. And desire, because that's what pushes everything else. That's the wind in the sails that gets us going. So we're going to talk about all these things, but the first one we're going to look at today is self-image. So turn to page 4 in your books. We're going to skip forward a little bit. I want you to read that. It says, who do you think is successful? I want you to write on that blank there on page 4, one person's name, or initials if you want to, that you would consider successful. It can be a person dead or alive. It can be someone that is a historical figure or someone that was a figure in your life personally. But just take a minute or two and think about it, and think about someone that you think is successful. Everybody got that? Need a minute? Are we good? All right. Now that we've written that name down, let's take just a second and talk about the word success. Now, we said if we had all those things up there, we would consider ourselves successful. Is that right? But when you think of success, what's the first thoughts that come to your mind? Money. Yep. Right. Happiness. What? Freedom, thank you. What else?
Good relationships.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Wisdom, ooh, very good. Contentment, excellent. That's awesome. A lot of times the world calls it different things. We see temporary success in many different ways, but the things that we're talking about in here are things that last forever. They're built on that foundation. They don't go away. They continue to grow year after year, and they continue to provide us satisfaction in good times and in bad. Below your person that you've selected over there, well, does anybody want to tell us who they selected? Anybody want to volunteer?
Bernie Loftic.
Bernie Loftic. Uncle Bernie Loftic.
I chose the lady I'm sitting by.
Oh, very inspiring. Good choice. No one can argue with that. Who else?
Jacob.
Jacob. Tom. Awesome. These are awesome people. Billy Graham. Excellent example. Incredible.
I chose my dad.
Awesome. Very good. Is your dad still with us?
Yes.
Ah, we'd love to meet him. Can you bring him down next time? He can define success. How old is your dad?
I don't know. the C quadrant. He's old.
He's probably like my age.
He's actually my stepdad. So.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's awesome. Same thing. Okay, well, great. Thank you. Now, these people that you've talked about, we're going to... He's older than you, right?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. I'm going to ask you to think of these people that you have written their name down, and then think of the qualities that they possess that make you think they're successful. And we'll just call out, we're going to write a few up here. Please forgive my writing, but all right, so who are you thinking of, and what quality do you want to mention? Integrity. Discipline.
Humility. Accountability.
Oh, hold on. Selfless. Accountable.
Yes.
Positive.
Positive.
Encouraging.
Go getter.
What was that last one?
Go getter. Passionate.
You got a big word. Self-actualized.
That's the word you use.
Was that Chuck?
Under fire.
Did Chuck say self-actualizing?
Yes.
Just graduated, right?
Yeah.
Woo, Chuck! Still got those big words. Can we get 3 copies of that APA format by tomorrow? Thank you. All right. Any other words? Integrity, discipline, humility, selfless, accountable, positive, encouraging. What?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Wow, good. Very good.
Reliable.
I'm sorry?
Reliable. Organized. Trustworthy.
All right. Organized. What else? Genuine.
Faithful.
Transparent. Trustworthy. Knowledgeable.
Go giver.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Knowledgeable. Is that right? That doesn't look right.
Sense of humor.
Humor. See, I'm an S, so I don't have that either. I mean, that's our category. Okay, we've got a good list here to get started on. I was going to let you cheat and look at some in the book, but I don't think we need it. You guys have an incredible list. That's awesome. We'll look back at those in a minute. Let's go ahead and turn to page 5. We're going to talk about your qualities now. So I want you to look at the instructions on page 5. What I want you to do is to write the letters of your name. I'll do mine up here real small, but just kind of like this, C-A-R-L. And then I want you to think of some of these character traits that describe your character and write them down. So I'm going to tell you what I had written down. Committed. Now we got to look at them now. And active. I've got to tell you my active story in just a second once I get these written down. Reliable. And learner. Now don't just think the first ones that come to your mind. Think about it and think about you. I'm going to tell you my active story though. I like to hike. And a week ago I got the privilege of hiking up Mount LeConte in Tennessee. It's one of my bucket list things. It's 6,593 feet high. Checked it off. Goal accomplished. It was on my goal list. So I want you to know that. The other goal that I had when I went up there was to see a bear in the wild. I've been up there a number of times. I have looked and looked. I've seen them in cages, and I didn't get to see them. So we went out driving through this particular area known for bears last week. And we saw them at a distance. We'd see 2 or 3, a mama and a couple of cubs, but I mean, they were hundreds of yards off. You could just see them moving through a field or whatever. And so we're about to give up. We're getting ready to leave, and it's about to get dark anyway. And we see a bunch of cars stop, so we kind of pull over. And sure enough, as I pull over, I see a bear cross the road, a mama bear cross the road. And I'm excited. I mean, that right there does it for me. That made the trip. So as part of my active, though, I was not quite satisfied, so I wanted to see get a little bit closer. Well, she had crossed the road and there were some trees here, so I figured she was just going out in this big meadow so that she could eat. I walked out there and I get out of the car and everybody else is in their cars and I'm sneaking up there with my camera and I get to the tree right here, and when I get to the tree, she's from here to that black chair from me looking at me. And I started to bring you the pictures that I took, but they were really fuzzy because I was moving very quickly backwards. I was very active that day. And we do have some decent pictures, but she also had 3 cubs in the tree across the street. So she was not in the mood to play with anybody. So I retreated to my vehicle. So, okay, let's talk about our names. Who wants to stand up and share the letters, the acronyms, and the words that they have written down? Chuck.
Okay, so Chuck is cheerful, happy, unified, caring, and kindling. Kindling.
What was it?
Kindling.
Kindling. Oh, that's awesome.
He just graduated.
Yeah, there you go. Is there a thesaurus back there? Somebody else want to stand up and tell us that? True. Somebody else? Anybody else?
Goal-oriented, affirming, reliable, and yes-minded. Try to find a why.
Very good. Yes-minded. I like that. Okay, tell you what I want you to do now, though. I want you to turn around and each table, like you guys turn around to that table and third table turn around to the fourth, and do that in groups of about 3 or 4 or 5 and talk about your names and the characteristics that you chose and why you chose them. And tell each other and listen to each other's story and see what they chose. Just take a couple of minutes to do it.
No, yes you are. She's cheating. Dance around here. Shorter name, she's shorter name too. Did you shorten your name, Victoria? All right. Muhammad, did you shorten your name? Very excited. I never shortened my I just would never give up on what you want. All right, Muhammad, what's yours? Never give up and give up? Give up. Oh, giver. Give up. Never give up. Give up. I know. Give up. What's yours?
Content, accepting, supportive, smart, and inspired.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, sorry. I was waiting for you to steal the K on my So we all just need to just bring up tomorrow and make sure all guys are
Okay, when you get done, turn back around to your chairs.
I like that.
All right. Everybody, is everybody done? This is where we got to get the eyes back and go, okay, come on, focus, focus. Party's over. Let's get back to talking. All right. If anybody could not think of characteristics to define themselves, raise your hand. Okay, so everybody in here could find positive characteristic traits that matched at least the number of letters you have in your name about yourself. Is that right?
With help.
With help. What does that say about you? It says you have within you the seeds of greatness. You already have these traits that we're talking about that make people successful. They're in you. All we have to do is figure out how to grow each of them and to add more, and that's what we're here to do. But you've got everything. All you need to do is develop the strengths that you have. And if you have weaknesses, you need to refine those and make them stronger. And it's easy to do. There are skills that you can do. There are things that you can do to make those all better. You got these because of the choices you've made in your life and because of what you have done, the actions you've taken. So the good news is the choices that you make starting today and going forward, as well as the actions that you choose to take, can increase all of these. So you can have as much of these as the people that you put down on your list as being successful. You may even have more. You may not have the exact ones, but you could. And you can have the ones that you choose to work on. Is that great news? Does that provide hope? Is that what we're talking about, is providing hope for a better tomorrow? Awesome. Okay, let's turn to page 6. This was our cheat sheet. See, if y'all couldn't come up with them, we've got this nice little cheat here so we could go down through them. But what we're going to do now, I want you to look at this list. Don't just automatically, I know D's have already done it, right? So we don't want to do that. Take your time, read through them, because I only want you to pick the top 5 qualities that you feel you currently possess. The top 5. And go through there. Look at all of them and put a star by the 5 that you think you most possess. Just 5. Top 5. I know you possess them all, but let's just go with 5 for now. It is. Because we do possess the seeds for all of these. Every one of us. At least. And this crowd's got about 20. Has everybody got their 5? Anybody still working on it? Take all the time you need, but hurry up. All right, once you get those done, I want you to go back through the list. Let's be quicker. You've already read through it once now. Place a check by the 5 qualities that you want to develop. There may be more. We'd like to develop all of them. But the 5 that you most want to develop. The 5 you want to work on this week. C's and the S's take longer here. They have to read every one twice. Make sure that they check the correct ones. The C's want to make sure the checks actually look like a check mark, not just a line. I can talk about them because I'm an S. It's okay. Okay. Is everybody just about finished? Are we good? All right. When we look at this list here on the right-hand page, the ones you just went through and put stars and checks by, do we see most of these up here as well? And we see honest. I know honesty was up here. Humility, resourceful, passionate, peaceful. I mean, if you look at the two lists, it's amazing that they're pretty consistent, right? So everybody has pretty much the same idea of the character traits that we all want to be. Is that right? Anybody would agree with you that these character traits on this page or these character traits were desirable, right? They would make us better people, right? And if we're better people, are we going to have a better self-image? And if we have a better self-image, are we going to be happier and more prosperous and more healthy and those things? So the ones that you checked off that you already have, same thing for those? Are those traits are going to make you have a better self-image? Can you look at those and go, yeah, I am a worthwhile person. I have something to offer to the world. Absolutely. So the last step on that page is an action step. And I'm going to give you a little help. I know Chuck's probably good at this. He's been doing them, so it's okay. But what I want you to do is write an action step for one of the 5 things that you said you wanted to improve, one of those 5 traits. And there's some action steps up here, so if you want some ideas of exactly how, you want to do it in the present tense. You don't want to say in the future I'm going to. You want to say I am confident because I'll look people in the eye when I talk to them. Or organized, my office is neat and clean. Commit to it right now that today that's what it's going to be. If you're a hard worker, I'm going to come in 10 minutes earlier. I'm going to stay 5 minutes later. I'm going to work through lunch or whatever the case may be. Write out your action step. All right, the key thing about an action step is what? You have to take action to do it. So you've taken the first action, you wrote it down, but the next action is to do something about it. So I want you to turn back into your groups that you were in just a minute ago, and I want you to... Turtle power or girl power? Oh. Turtles on the half shell. So anyway, turn back into your groups and discuss your action step. Discuss why you chose it. Discuss how you're going to implement it. Discuss what you're going to do tomorrow to take the first step.
Bottom line, there'll be a time later this evening where I'll just it's one of the same, but it's not right now. You'll have to tell us what. Tell us what. All that.
And then your initials are what it means.
Like that too.
Like that, if you're for me, that's
Right after that, so like I'm gonna try to start making that stuff up because it just shows, okay, whenever you're laughing
Wait, so help me
or whatever, whenever you start to speak to people, you always have those people that are like, you know, they're making us do another, you know, whatever it is, you have those people in every group, I don't care what group you go to. And so once you start making them laugh, that body language changes and then they engage you. And so I think that if anything I learned from this morning was just to make sure to add some more people.
And don't be offended if you're a joke, no one laughs.
I did a joke in Carl's got a couple weeks ago. Because
Brian said that.
He did this morning. He said one this morning, and everybody just went.
Brian has said, Brian's done all of those one time. We got that one laugh.
But you know what he did right after that? He was like, I'll give you a little bit. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so I've got to
Keep in mind, he's been doing the same jokes for 20 years. Right.
You can, if you buy his CD from 1991 or whatever, it's the textbook, same thing. I don't know. I don't know where it went. Yes, I think that is. Yep, that's, well, there's a series of 6, but that's one part of it. That's probably it. It's awesome. Yep. Okay, how are we doing? Do we need another minute? Are we good? We're good? Okay, great. I need a whistle, you're right. And I can't do it. Pardon? Oh, yeah, she can't. I can't. I lost that trait somehow. Are we ready? Everybody got them? I listened to this guy one time who says if you clap, you get people's attention. Is that how it goes?
Well, you got to recognize somebody first. Like, give David Wright a big hand.
There you go. Woo! Thank you. I knew it was close.
Carl a big hand.
Woo! Thank you. All right. So how was that? You got your action step? You ready to go? Does it help to discuss it with other people? Okay. Same thing Brian talked about this morning. Sometimes we need other people in our life so we can bounce these ideas off, you know? Exactly. We need feedback. We all need feedback. I won't even go into my lecture on feedback, but I do have one if you're interested. Stick around later. My kids can tell it to you by heart. How's that? All right. So we enjoyed that. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. There you go. Come on. Stand up. Yeah, I do. Stand up and dance, Tony. Come on. Girl power. Come on. There you go. Okay. I think it's really funny. The girls section over here, the guys are going.
Justin moved away.
All right. When you hear music like that, what does it do? Get your energy flowing, right? All right. Let's get some more energy flowing. Hello.
What'd you do during homework?
Yeah. Okay, a little bit different tempo. What is that one? How does that make you feel? Relaxing. Makes me think of a soap opera. That's what it sounds like, soap opera background music. All right. There you go. All I know is Susan Lucci's still there. That's all I can tell you.
I did it.
Swish, swish, swish. Swish, oh, swish, swish, that's right. All right. And what does that invoke? What? Happiness. There you go. That's good. And I'm sorry about the swish swish. My youngest is 21, so there you go. Is that a good thing? That's right. All right. The point is, different music, different input causes different feelings and emotions within us. Is that right? Some of it makes us want to bang our head on the wall. Some of it makes us want to dance. Some of it makes us want to just be mellow and listen or sing along, right? And the thing is, in life, we have different inputs as well. And those inputs create different emotions within us, just like different music does, or just like different movies do. My son, who's 20, we make fun of him because he's an animal lover. And he loves movies. So we went to see the show, the movie. How many of you remember the movie 8 Below? There you go. It's about an Arctic expedition, basically, and they take a bunch of dogs down there with them. And in the end, spoiler alert, one of the dogs dies. Patrick cried his eyes out. And he was like 10 or 12 and never cried, but the dog died, you know? He couldn't handle it. Movies evoke emotions in us. Why do they do that, you think? Is that on purpose? You think they write them that way? They do, absolutely. All right, turn to page 7. We're going to talk about inputs and the inputs you have in your life. Well, let's wait on that. So, you should have a big circle on the right-hand side of the page, right? Or on the page. I want you to think about different inputs in your life. What inputs do you have? These are some different sources of inputs. Your family is an input into your life, is that right? Obviously your work is. Music can be, it can be the internet, it can be the people that you hang around with, it can be your church, right? All these things have inputs into your life, is that correct? Okay. On the right-hand side of that circle, I want you to write down the inputs that play into your life. They may be these, they may be different than these. Just spend a minute thinking about all the different things that have input into your life in a day, just a typical day. Once you get them written down, since all the D's are moving ahead now, I want you to take and divide this pie chart into a section, but I want you to think about which of those inputs has the most influence on you. And that one gets the largest section of pie. So if it's work is your biggest influence, it might be that size. If you don't spend much time on the internet, it might be that size. If you spend a lot of time, if you're 16 and you listen to music, it might be huge. So draw the pie into those sections. You can use those colored pencils there. That's what we gave them to you for. There should be 3 or 4 on each table, and you can share with the table next to you if you want different colors. It really helps if you draw them out and then color the different sections, each a different color. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just kind of shade it in slightly so that you can see the differences. Daily, weekly, monthly, however you, just in general. As you're working, remember there's no rights or wrongs, no good sources or bad sources, unless they have positive or negative impact on you. All right. Once you get yours shaded in and drawn out and shaded in about the way you want it, I want you to go back around and look at the sources of input and think about them and decide whether that source of input is positive or negative in your life. And if it's positive, I want you to put a P beside it. If it's negative, I want you to put an N. And it's possible that it could be both. The internet definitely has positive impact on our lives and definitely has negative impact on our lives as well. Just for an example. Anybody need more time? Okay, good. All right, now I want you to turn back into your groups one more time. Yay! The girls are so excited. Group time! Guys are like, yeah, did you write some? Yeah, okay, good. That's it. Okay, turn back into your groups, and let's talk about these for a minute. There's a list of questions beneath the circle on that page, and I want you to take a look at those and answer those questions in your group. Discuss them. Take about 5 minutes. And will you say that again when we come back out of the group? Thank you.
would take I did it. When did we do this last week? Tom taught us for 1 hour conference. You were there. Tom taught us
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah.
And I remembered back, it was different then than it is now. Yeah, because it's just seasons in your life, things change. The inputs have changed. Yes. Yeah, see where it's at, see what it is. If you're an over. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, like 2 a.m. when my kid's not sleeping, I'm just sitting here. What am I going to do? I don't post anything on my phone. The only thing I do.
Okay, let's take about 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Okay, is everybody about ready? Up. Good. Okay, guys, let's all turn back around, face the front. Okay, everybody, let's give Philip Hatfield a hand. My brother. All right. Thank you, Howard. All right, so how was that? Has anyone ever done that before? Did it change from the first time you did it until now? Did it make positive changes? Awesome. Nikki, what were that? Do you mind telling us what you were saying? Awesome. Thank you. David? Oh, wow. Hand clap for Dave. Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Mark.
For reference, we were teaching this too, and you bring up a good point, Dave, is Nielsen report from March 2014, the average American watches 5 hours of TV. Oh my goodness, whoa. And almost invariably when I teach this, somebody says, not me, and I said, go home and track it.
Right.
Just track it. Now here's the disturbing things, the older we get, TV viewing increases steadily. I'm 65 years old, reaches 7 hours a day.
And as we age, we talk about our health decline, how much of that has to do with being sedentary, as opposed to if we had spent those 7 hours out walking up and down the street, or taking a bike ride, even going to the mall and walking the little mall walk through there, something. Not only do we have social interaction, but we also have physical interaction. And it's time, by using a chart like this, and this is something we should do. Thank you, Mark. Something we should do regularly because it does. It helps us look at what sources of input do we have. What are we doing with our time, and how can it be more productive? Because if people took 5 hours a day or 2 hours a day or 7 hours a day and used half that in productive ways, in reading or in engaging in relationships, in learning, in automobile university, whatever the case may be, how much different would their life be? How much different is your life, Nikki? I know yours is. My son and daughter-in-law did the same thing. He was really hesitant. So she gave him Hulu or something so he can watch sports occasionally, and he's happy. But they have so much more time. And they do the same thing. They hike, they go kayaking or bicycling, or sit and talk to each other face to face. Can you imagine that? Here in the 21st century, we do that sort of thing? Absolutely. Yeah. That's right. All right. So, what's our biggest takeaway from that exercise? Absolutely. Thank you. You know, I pick at Evan because he's a computer guy, And, you know, he's very technological. Some of you are. I try, but I'm not, because people are always talking. Somebody said, oh, well, when I first went to college, you know, we had those little green printouts when we registered. And I said, my first year at college, they didn't even have computers on the campus, even for registration. The next year at college, they did, but guess what they used? Punch cards. Who knows what a punch card is? There you go. That's right. So the term that was popular back then, and it still is now, was, and Zig used it all the time, GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. I tell that to my kids all the time. It works in a computer program. You write garbage into your program, you get garbage back out of it. If you put garbage into your head, you get garbage back out of it. If you take your nice little potted plant and start pouring kerosene in there, guess what's going to happen? It's going to die. And it's the same thing with our lives. The input that we take into us, what we read, who we hang around, the actions that we take, the books that we read, the tapes that we listen to, the music that we listen to, it all has an impact on our brain. A physical, hardwire impact on who we are. We can improve who we are by changing the input. That was Zig's favorite line. You are where you are and what you are because of what's going into your mind. You can change who you are and what you are by changing what goes into your mind. That's our goal for today, and is to change our self-image, to change our lives, and to be better people. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Way more scary. So give it up for Carla.
Thank you. Thank you.
I made a couple of certification class very much. And I just wanted to point out to you some things that he did well as a facilitator of the class. One of the biggest rookie mistakes I see that you did not make is being uncomfortable with silence. And as a facilitator, there's a lot of times when it's going to be silent and it's kind of boring for you. And I thought you did a great job of role modeling for us how that works. So he said, write down, list something. Now, he's not listening to anything. He's kind of bored. He'd like to kind of chat with y'all, but because you need to be thinking. The minute I start talking, you're distracted. Now you're trying to do two things at once, and it makes it very hard. So I want you to learn from Carl that using that silence is a great way, or not a great way, is the only way for you to be professional up here. And that is a really key skill, and people get very uncomfortable with it. So you did a great job with that. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, again, these are small things, but it's those small things, you add them up and add them up. The other thing that I wanted to point out that you probably didn't notice because you guys were working is that when he divided you into those groups and he said, you guys discuss this or that, did he stay up here and look at his notes? That's right. He was walking around because, especially if you guys know each other, which you guys do, it's easy for that topic to veer off. And especially if you're all in the same company and you're working with each other and somebody mentions the football game or what happened in Waco or last week we had this happen and everybody starts talking about something. And so by my physical presence of walking around, it will sometimes bring you back. Or if I hear that you're not, I'll step in and I'll say, what are you guys talking about? No, you're supposed to be on question number 3. Now, that's my personality. Some of you would not be comfortable with that, but just the physical act of walking around will help monitor those groups. And he didn't come in and be part of your group. Again, a facilitator is kind of a boring, lonely job. Well, it's not boring. I don't think it's boring. It's a lonely job, though, because you guys are having fun and talking and discussing, but that's not my job. My job is to let you do that. My job is not to insert myself into that.
So I just wanted to point out a couple of things that he did that you may have missed because he did it so well and so naturally.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions for Carl about, I don't know, about what he's been doing and how it's working? I don't mean in a social way. What you been doing? So, what you been doing? How you been? What I mean is, are any of you wondering his experiences in teaching any of the Ziegler curriculum? I don't know. I don't know if you have any questions or not.
I got one for Carl. Have you done this presentation before to a group?
I've done the shorter versions. I haven't done the long version of this particular one. I've done the goal setting, the long one.
But you haven't done the drawn out, that same thing you just did?
No, I haven't.
Wow. I have a question for you because I glanced down and saw. Tell us how you prepared for it. Show me how you did that because I think that's a good thing to know.
Well, being an S, I have to be very highly prepared. So basically what I do is I sit down and I'll actually show you, this is the short version. I'll just show you a couple of them. The first time I did it, I actually took the slides and put them on the page and then wrote my notes out that I wanted on there. Now, I don't go through and read the notes, but I do write them out and I have ideas, and so I don't have to look up or I don't have to look at my computer. I can always just look at my notes and tell. And then I go back and highlight different things. So the first time I did it, the short version, I did that. But in this one, I just took my book and I would go through and I actually used 3-color highlighters. I used pink for the words that I wanted to make sure I hit, specific words. I used green for turn the page or a slide, go to the next slide. And then I would use yellow for time. So I just keep track of my time. This section's 5 minutes. At this point, I should be 15 minutes into it. And by this time, I should be 25 to 35 minutes of my whole time. So, and then I do have, a few notes handwritten in as well so that I make sure that I cover those items.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you made a statement I'm going to disagree with. He made a statement I'm going to disagree with. He said, as an S, I need to be prepared. As a D, an I, an S, and a C, you need to be prepared. Right? So those of you who have a really strong personality and you go, well, I'll just wing it because I can get by my personality. That probably is true, but you're doing your group a disservice. Yeah, sure. Right? And so anybody needs to be prepared. I love the 3-color approach because I can glance down and see what I need to see. So great.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And then also in PowerPoint, you can always, you always have the option to print these as notes, and so the little slides pop up.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you for the longer days.
Right.
Scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no way you can memorize 6 hours worth of material.
No.
Right.
But it always helps to have that little slide there so you know where you're at and what's going on and
Right.
what needs to be said when, and then just to jot the page number down by the slide so that you know your book's on point.
Right, I'm agreeing with you, yeah, that there's no way you could
Yeah.
memorize 6 hours worth.
It's
Right.
really helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Good job. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. You're going to come back at 2:40, and at 2:40 you get a really great pleasure of learning from Tony. And we're going to do a little bit more, and she's going to show us a few different things than what's in the book. I asked her to do that so that you guys could see some more ideas of different things that they can do. So 2:40, be back in your seats because it's going to be great. What a great job. I'm going to finish writing my feedback for you before I give it to you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank